This is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast created by Barbara Giamanco, who hosted the first 67 episodes. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider a sales career and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we appreciate your allyship. And now, your host, Lori Richardson.
Big shout out to our official sponsor, Reprise, the leading full funnel, product-led growth platform. With Reprise, your sales team creates, presents, and shares product demos, perfectly customized for each step of your sales motion. Go to getreprise.com/womenInSales to try for free today. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Wesleyne today. She is the founder and lead sales coach at Transform Sales. And she's also a podcast host at Transform Sales. We'll hear a little more about that soon. Welcome, Wesleyne. It's so great to have you here.
Hello, Lori. I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, I know you through our Women Sales Pros group, and you are really a mover and shaker in on social and in the sales profession. I'm really excited to have you. You have a more interesting background than some of the people that I talk to. Not that they're not interesting, but you were actually a chemist, and I just find that fascinating. And I just wonder, what were you thinking when you were in college? And then tell us a little bit about what you did as a chemist.
So in college, I initially went to college and I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. So I majored in biology. And after the first semester, I was like, I don't like this. This is horrible. I need numbers. So I changed my major to chemistry. And then 2 years into college, I was like, yeah, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to get a PhD in chemistry. So in college, I literally thought I was going to grad school to be a PhD chemist. And when I got my bachelor's, I went to grad school and I was like, yeah, I don't like this. So I had to go find a job. And I started working as a chemist, and it's called a failure analysis chemist. And what that is like all of the things that broke, I got to figure out the why. Why are these things failing in the field? And so it was really amazing because I got to use my brain. I got to figure out why customers are doing what they're doing and connecting that with what we were doing in the lab. So that was that's how I started.
Well, that's so interesting because finding the why applies so much in what you do now. What was the transition that you went into your first sales job?
When I would always be asking literally, why are we doing this work? Why does this matter? Why do we have to develop this new plastic? Why are we developing this new product? And I realized that the why was more important than the what of what I was doing in the benchtop. And so I got into sales, and I was so fortunate to work for to find a company that was looking for someone who had a technical background with no sales experience, which is like unheard of these days still. And because of everything that I had done as a chemist, they were like, you're such a good fit. And so I got into sales, and I tell people I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up because I loved everything about it. I love everything about it.
Oh, that is so interesting. And yet, there's an art side of selling. It's not all science. Science certainly is important. And I know you and I agree in a lot of areas around data and helping identify strengths and gaps with salespeople and sales teams using data. What about the art piece that, I think of sales as kind of a craft, in that you can't just tell somebody, well, do this, do this, do this, and you'll be good. It's kind of like being a sculptor or something, but or maybe a baker is a better word because the science has to be right in baking. Otherwise, nothing rises, right? Doesn't come out tasting very well unless you use it. science more than I think cooking. I think baking is a very precise, um, I don't know. That's what I think. And I just wonder how do you bring the two together?
My friends that know me from high school or early life, they're like, "Oh yeah, we always knew that this was something for you." Like I was always a negotiator. I was always, a hustler. I'm like, okay, so let's figure out. I would ask the question, okay, so I know it costs this much, but what about this? Can you throw this in first? And I mean, like, I'm a teenager doing this, like at the corner store trying to get chips or something. And I'm always asking, like, I was always so curious. I was always wanted to know more, do more, ask more. And as a child growing up, I didn't realize it back then, but I was always like the person to volunteer to do stuff. I was the one who was going up at church and speaking. And I can remember being 12 years old on a stage teaching a room full of adults a Bible study, right? And so, like, all of those skills that I got as a child that I didn't even realize were being planted in me are what helped me with that art piece. And so what I do, I love it so much because I get to balance the two. I get to use the science and then I get to use the art to really impact organizations and leaders.
That's so nice. I'm celebrating my 20th year this year in my own company, and it still doesn't feel like work. I like you. I love what I do, and I love seeing positive changes made in companies or people going, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly. Someone told me the other day, said, you're on to me because you've described me to a perfect T just by reviewing some data. And I said, yeah, this stuff works. It's
I
really
know.
great. Yeah, it's great. So what have you learned about yourself through this journey of yours so far?
I've learned that the parts of me when the younger Wesleyne used to minimize those parts or not want to talk too much or ask too many questions, those are the things that really make me excellent at sales. So I amplify those things. When in jobs, people would be like, no, Wesley, you can't talk in this meeting or keep your opinion to yourself. That makes me money now. So I do it all the time. I don't keep those little parts of me quiet that for so long people said, no, you can't do that. You're not allowed. Be quiet. Do this. Follow the leader. Like all the outside of the box, all the crazy things that I think about and I do, that's literally what helps keep a roof over my head.
Wow. And that's a good tip to pass on to women, because my next question was, what advice would you have for women who might be thinking about sales or might be, maybe they're in a sales role, but it's very much a male majority atmosphere. I met a lot of women last month while traveling and heard some stories that make me think, I don't know what year it is because it seems like this stuff shouldn't be going on anymore. Um, what do you say to women about sales?
Be your authentic self. What makes you excellent, the things that you've heard in your performance reviews, the things that your boss that doesn't get it continues to tell you you're not good at or that are holding you back from getting a promotion, realize those are the things that really make you excellent and stand out from the crowd. And if you are in a place, if you are in a position where you can't be 100% of who you are, then that's not where you should be. I can remember working for an organization and going to my top line leader, going to the CEO and saying, my boss doesn't respect me. And he was like, no, Wesleyne, it's not that he doesn't respect you or women. He doesn't respect anyone. He talks to everyone like that. That's not okay.
No.
Okay. That's not okay. It's not okay for the CEO of a company to say, you should expect this because this is how that person is. So I would say, speak up for yourself, show up as who you are. One of the things that a lot of people know me for is, I know we're not on video, is this lipstick. I wear red lipstick. This is like signature red lipstick Wesleyne. And for so long, working in a corporate sales realm, I wore neutral tones. I would not wear this red lipstick, but this is who I am and this is what I like. So show up as yourself and never feel that you have to compromise who you are. And that's not just from a place of, okay, I don't want to be sexually harassed or discriminated against, but that's, I want to say this. I want to wear this. I want to be this person. Be who you are and find an organization that loves, respects, and actually elevates that person.
Yeah. And if you're not at it, keep looking, because there's a place for everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Should all feel welcome, and you shouldn't be thinking, well, maybe my boss will change. Because I know a lot of us have thought that, well, if you just, maybe it's been a tough year. Oh, we had a pandemic. We don't need to cut people excuses. If you're not being treated well, you should look at one of the many amazing other sales opportunities that are out there, because there are a lot of great opportunities, especially right now.
Absolutely. There are companies that want you. There are companies that will respect you and allow you to be who you are and reward your hard work, because a lot of companies don't reward your hard work. You're like, I don't understand how I'm exceeding quota year over year by double digits, but I can't get a promotion. I can't even get a senior in front of my title. I don't understand that. What, like, that is not okay. There are companies out there that will actually promote you. They care about the person that you are, and it's based on the hard work that you're doing. They don't just say you did 8 of the 10 things required this year, and so because you didn't do the last 2 things, we're not going to give you that promotion we promised you.
Yeah, exactly. No way. So tell me a little bit about your podcast and why did you start it, and tell us a little bit about what you cover in it. And then we'll give the links later to the listeners.
The podcast was started because I realized in working with so many different teams and so many different leaders that the stories of sales leaders that really figured it out, there was so much education and so much learning in what we could learn from others' journey. And so my podcast is all about, we are 100% unscripted, and we talk about the journey from starting your sales career to where you are at this point, whether you're a CEO or a sales leader. And we're talking about struggles of, harassment, discrimination, people having learning disabilities, not having parental support, like the real stories that people have had and overcome. And now they're able to show up as a CEO, as a sales leader, or as a sales manager. So that's what we talk about on the Transform Sales podcast.
Yeah, that's great. And it's on iTunes and other places where podcasts are found, but we'll put a link in our show notes. And I know that's important because you and I were just at an event where at least one person, maybe more, but one that I know of that everyone would think is amazing, someone that people look up to, shared her story about being in debt for some time and how she got out of debt, which is really great. And I think that's important because we put people on pedestals and we think that they're up here and we're here. And it's just not the case. Everybody has something going on and we just don't always see it, right?
Absolutely. That tapping into that vulnerability as a leader is so important for your team. It's important for those around you to see that, oh, that person is actually a human being. They didn't just arrive at this position of power. They didn't just get here easily. They had some stumbles, they had some bumps, and now they're here. And when I'm working with people, that's the key to literally helping them unlock their leadership potential. It's, what is that dark, ugly thing that is holding you back? Because people have this chip on their shoulder, and the chip is not the chip you see. The chip is from, okay, I had a really bad divorce and it's 6 years later and I'm still holding on to that really bad divorce. I literally worked with someone who had a learning disability in middle school and they had to be put into a special class and they were scared to get in front of their team to have a meeting. Like, those things actually hold us back as leaders. And it hurts us as women in sales because sometimes we take it personally. Not always, but a lot of times we take it personally. And we think that our leader is doing something against us when it's really about them. And we don't have the voice. We don't have what we need to really say something. And so we just kind of get quiet and leave the organization. And when we leave the organization, it hurts our career because the ability for us to move up the ladder kind of diminishes when you start over. So that's how all of that manifests, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think we'll ever have more women in sales leadership roles? More than the 12 to 15% that we've had for at least 10 years.
I absolutely 100% believe that one day we will, with the way that we both work with organizations and teams and helping them to understand that you have to hire better people.
Yeah.
In order to get more women in sales, we have to work with that leader and help the leader understand, get more women in entry-level sales position and retain them and promote them and ensure that they move up the ladder.
Yeah.
That's how we'll do it. And so like, I just think one organization at a time, one team at a time, one leader at a time. But when I'm excited when there are women that I get messages from and they're like, hey, I got a promotion. Hey, I'm going to a different organization at a higher level. Those are the things that give me hope to know that we will one day have what I consider true equity. And true equity is everyone has the same seat at the same table.
Yeah. And I have to admit that seeing events like Sisters in Sales conference with tons of women there, and that didn't happen 5 years ago. It's really exciting that things are changing. And I do see it too. And sometimes it can be a little frustrating. We were talking about Women in Sales Month in October when it really should be all the time, an all the time thing, just like Black History Month, right? Same thing. It's like a month doesn't cut it. A month just doesn't cut it. So I just wonder, any advice for any final advice, I think, for women that might be considering sales? Do you think that it's a good profession for someone to get into?
Sales can absolutely 100% change the trajectory of your life. With a career in sales, you are in the driver's seat. You determine how much money you make. That hard work that you're putting in day after day after day, you get rewarded for that. You get commission, you get bonuses. So a sales career 100% changed the trajectory of your life. And if you're worried about it being too hard or having to travel or you have kids, the good thing about sales in 2022 is the reality that we experienced as field salespeople, driving and flying everywhere. That's not the same thing. Now you can still make good money as a B2B salesperson from your house. So don't run away from something before you've given it a chance, and know that you can absolutely be an excellent wife, a wonderful mother, and a great salesperson.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I also think that because people can work remotely now, I think we will have more female leaders because they don't have to be these, we used to call them road warriors, right? They go from office to office to office, maybe 4 days a week out of 5, flying all over the place. We don't need that person anymore. Now it can be done remotely, and women make great leaders and women make great sellers. And there's just no reason why we can't change the face of sales in our profession.
Absolutely. You can 100% do it. And as you said, the road warriors, where I always like to travel a week and be home a week, but some people like to be gone 2 days or 3 days, but I still have that little burning desire. I like to travel just a little bit, not as much as I used to, but you can do that in sales. You can have a job where you just work in your local city. Like you see customers in your local city and you can be home and pick your kids up off the bus. So don't run away from it just because there's no one that looks like you there. A lot of time it is hard to be the one. and you feel like it's lonely. There are so many organizations out there that are supporting women in sales, and they really want to ensure that you don't feel lonely, that you have a place where you can talk to and a support system.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're in my support network. I appreciate you. And how can we find you online?
The best way is to find me on LinkedIn. I am very active there, sharing lots of thoughts and opinions. And so just the Wesleyne on LinkedIn.
And they can click the light bulb, right?
Yes, that's right. They can click the light bulb and they can get notified of all of my amazing content whenever it pops out.
You do have amazing content. I love reading it. It's always thought provoking, and it makes me want to comment. And that's what everyone should do. That's another thing. Women, don't be lurkers on LinkedIn. Share and comment, share something about what you've learned. And that can be really, that will help you. And it helps anyone who you're just normally liking. Give them a comment, and it goes a long way. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Wesleyne. It's a pleasure to have you on our podcast. And I am looking forward to all the new truth bombs that you'll be dropping in the upcoming weeks and months. So thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Lori. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales. You can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast. Help us spread the word, and let's change the face of B2B sales.